Shalom everyone. Erev Tov, Shavua Tov, Chodesh Tov, Shavuot Tov. May you all have a pleasant evening, a good week, a great month, and an inspiring, happy, healthy festival of Shavuot. Welcome to audio story number 4 in our TillesTells series. For tonight is Rosh Chodesh itself, going to the 1st of Sivan, which is also an important date in Tzefat because it's the yortzeit of the Nadvorna Rebbe of Tzefat, who passed away in the year 2000, exactly 20 years ago tonight. He was born in Banya, which is in Romania, and he referred to himself as the Nadvorna Banya Rebbe. He moved to Israel shortly after the War of Liberation in 1948. Previously, he had lost a whole family in the Holocaust, but married his deceased wife's sister, as was common in Europe after the war, and started a whole new family. Legendary in Tzefat for his hospitality and kindness to those in need, his home and shul were a center for Jews of all brands for 52 years. Beloved equally by Hasidim, Sephardim, and Ashkenazim, by Europeans, Israelis, and Americans. His death a little before the age of 90, or a little after, it's not clear, marked the end of an era in Tzefat. I heard this story from my friend Raphael Rosen at the first yortzeit minyan for Rabbi Leifer in 2001, and revised it this week in honor of the 20th yortzeit, with much help from both Rosen and from Noach Bittelman, who you'll meet in this story, which I call Don't Be Surprised. Shortly before Passover in 1995, when Dr. Raphael Rosen married his wife Adina, an old friend of his from the States attended his wedding. Noach Bittelman was also a medical practitioner, an acupuncturist, who was visiting Israel at the time. When he first came, he didn't know about his friend's marriage plans, but when he found out, he was happy to participate in the celebration. At the wedding, Noach had the opportunity to meet Rabbi Aaron Yechiel Leifer, the Nadvorna Rebbe of Tzefat. He was very impressed, but regretted not being able to communicate with him, as he spoke neither Hebrew or Yiddish, or Romanian or Hungarian, which the Rebbe also spoke. It was Rabbi Leifer who influenced his friend Raphael 15 years earlier to leave his medical practice in Oklahoma and make Aliyah. Noach stayed on in Tzefat for a few days after the wedding and went together with Raphael to Rabbi Leifer's shul for the last Shabbat before Passover, called Shabbat HaGadol. Rabbi Leifer gave Noach the great honor of being called to the Torah for the Kohen Aliyah. After the conclusion of the prayers, Raphael and Noach stayed on for the Kiddush reception, which of course featured Rebbetzin Leifer's world-famous cholent. The Rebbe made Kiddush and immediately passed the cup to Noach, who took a sip. Later, after most of the men had left, Rabbi Leifer began asking Noach some questions about his plans. If he was married, where he lived, what his travel plans were. Raphael translated his answers from English to Hebrew. Rabbi Leifer then proceeded to give Noach 3 blessings. First, that he should stay in Israel for Pesach. Second, that he should get married. And third, that he should live in Tzefat. Noach protested that he needed to be back in the States to spend the Pesach Seder with his family, and already had plans to fly back before Pesach. To his surprise, Raphael refused to translate his protests, saying that either Noach would heed the Rebbe's advice or not, as he chose. But by no means would he, Raphael, help him to oppose the Rebbe's words. The Rebbe somehow understood anyway. He smiled and said he couldn't argue with that type of a mitzvah. Man proposes, God disposes, as they say. For those who want to see closer, look in Proverbs 19, chapter 19, verse 21. Just a day before his scheduled departure, while in Jerusalem, Noach became engaged to Tamar, Zikrona Bracha, whom he had first met back in California. Since he had just gotten engaged and Tamar was going to be in Jerusalem for Pesach, Noach didn't feel right about leaving right away and being separated from his Kala on the holiday. So he delayed his trip, stayed through the Seder nights in plural. They celebrated 2 Seders since they were both visiting Israel at the time. and then flew back to the States to be with his family for the rest of the festival, Chol Hamoed and the holidays at the end. Some months later, Noach and Tamar were married in Northern California and decided to spend the first year of their marriage in Israel. Shortly after they were married, they moved to Israel and tried to find an apartment in Jerusalem. But each time they thought they had found an appropriate place, something happened to cancel the rental. This happened again and again. So after a month of frustration, they decided to take a few days off from house hunting and go to Tzefat in order to take off the pressure and consider their next move. But then all the doors opened for them while they were in Tzefat, and they realized that this is where they were supposed to be. They soon rented a place and ended up living in Tzefat. The following Shabbat HaGadol, Noach went to speak to Rabbi Leifer again. By this time, he was able to manage in Hebrew by himself. He related to the Rebbe the story that all that had transpired over the course of the year, and expressed his amazement and delight at the series of seeming coincidences that had so quickly and dramatically altered his life, fulfilling the exact details of the Rebbe's 3 blessings. Having Pesach Seder in Israel, getting married, and moving to Tzefat to live. Rabbi Leifer responded offhandedly, "But you had a blessing. Why are you so surprised? Why should a blessing take long to manifest?"